when I first started, I was prospecting like 8 to 10 hours a day. And it's because I didn't have any business. I didn't have clients to call. I didn't have lock boxes to go put on. I just was kind of just starting to build the inventory for myself. Now I don't even have time from 1 to 5 to do those things unless I don't have appointments to go on. But my goal to prospecting is really finding new business. So it's finding new income that could be generated, whether it be lead follow-up or talking to people I've never talked to.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me, it's Aaron Wittenstein, and I would like to welcome you to Vulcan7 Roadmap. This is where we teach agents across the country, or I should say, learn from agents across the country on how to generate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, A, B, C, D, E, F, G listings a week, okay? And we have all the way from Tucson, Arizona, and this will be posted later, but it's a little secret. I hear it is his birthday tomorrow. I'm not singing or anything like that. Cody Lopez. Cody, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you for coming. So usually I set, just so you guys get a little behind the scenes action, is I have particular days that I set aside to do Vulcan7 Roadmap, okay? And I call Cody. He came highly recommended to me, and I'm like, Cody, we want to get you on the show. This time he's like, you know what? He's like, I would love to, but I can't because that's during my prospecting session, which between 8 to 12. You're in Arizona, so is that Mountain Standard Time?
Yeah, Mountain Standard
Time. And he wouldn't do it. So I manipulated my schedule, which I didn't mind doing because I found out it was his birthday. Okay. And I just want to say thank you for being here. And tell me a little bit about your prospecting, because from what it sounds like to me, that is severely protected time to you.
Yeah. So one of the things that, this year's been a really big year for me. It's in terms of different schedule, accountability, and really sticking to a schedule. And prospecting is something I've always done. However, I think using Vulcan7, it's really allowed me to just sit still and just focus on the low-hanging fruit, the people who essentially have an intention or need business and they're looking for a confident and strong agent to assist them with. So 8 to 12 are my hours. I would say I never really had a set of hours. The last 4 years I've been doing real estate. It's just kind of been all over the board, even Saturdays and Sundays, just, running around like a chicken with my head off. But 8 to 12 is kind of where we would like to stick to. Really, there's no exceptions for the most part. If there's any incoming calls, take it afterwards.
I love that. And how long has this schedule been in place for?
9 months. So just the beginning of this year. Actually, I've only been using Vulcan7 since January. So this CRM is still fairly new to me. But it's really, I think in real estate, there's a lot of noise. There's so easily accessible to get distracted. And so I just need to focus on talking to people who need my services rather than building rapport and having it take years and years to convert. I think if you know what to say and you know how to say it, you can kind of just close at any time.
So in January, you basically went all in. You signed up for Vulcan7. You committed to that 4 hours. I want to say that word very strongly, committed to that 4 hours of lead generation. How have things been going for you?
So I do want to back up. So it wasn't just 4 hours when I first started. It was 8 to 6. I mean, I was prospecting like 10 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day. And it's because I didn't have any business. I mean, I didn't have clients to call. I didn't have lock boxes to go put on. Like I just was kind of just starting to build the inventory for myself. Now I don't even have time from, 1 to 5 to do those things unless I don't have appointments to go on. But really, I think I got burnt out from it, to be honest with you, because being on the phone, staring at a screen for that long, it's not psychologically normal for us to do that. So kind of resented the business for a little bit, to be honest with you. But until I actually set those boundaries with myself and said, these are my hours, it's helped a lot. I don't resent it as much as I used to. It's actually really enjoyable, of course, if you stick to your schedule.
So what are your expectations for a typical 4-hour shift?
So I try to get 20 contacts. So really just 5 an hour. I had to adjust that, but my goal is to essentially it's to get a listing appointment and present and close, of course, but pre-qualifying, which is probably the most important thing, because I would go on appointments if anyone said they've had thoughts of selling. And what a waste of time that was for me. But then again, I didn't have really much business, so I was trying to take all the experience that I could. But my goal with prospecting is really finding new business. Okay. So it's finding new income that could be generated, whether it be lead follow-up or talking to people I've never talked to. So if I'm calling past clients, that kind of goes after the 8 to 12, even though it is considered prospecting. I kind of consider that its own category outside of my 8 to 12, because I want to focus on talking to people who I can leave a professional impression on, regardless if they use me or not. That's fine. As long as I know I had a good conversation and I left a professional impression, that's a win for me. And that's something I've had to change my mindset on, because not every day you're going to get a listing appointment. And because you don't get one doesn't mean that you don't deserve to enjoy your day and say that you worked hard. But that's the goal really at the end of the day, is to go on appointments.
So from what it sounds like to me is putting it's the activity is the success, because with the activity the results will eventually follow. Did I catch that right?
Yeah, yeah. So like, you go on an appointment, you present, you close, you get the contract signed. For me, I think that's the win. Not closing the home, not selling it, not going under contract. That's not a win for me. It's getting the opportunity to list and sell a home. If you close a home, my mindset's always been, well, you performed the job you were hired to do. So like, don't really get too ahead of yourself. But if you provide a listing, you're providing inventory, and that's, I think, more important. Closing obviously is the job that we're hired to do. So when you perform that, I don't know, it's not as rewarding for me. I think getting the listing signed and actually presenting it to the market is like my favorite part of the process.
I
And
agree.
then you just move on to the next one, essentially.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's something about getting that signature, right?
It's all, yeah.
It's just you can't explain it, right? Like the true closers. It's all about you sign, you walk out, and you're like, yes. And then the money's a good thing too. Don't get me wrong, but that's we're in agreement on that. So you do a 4-hour shift. So what is your typical? Do you have? I'm going to venture to guess you have a process and a system that you follow on a daily basis. But who are you calling when? What does that look like?
So yeah, so 7:30 is really when I'm on the phone. I'm not prospecting per se, but I'm doing my role play call, right? So depending on who I'm calling that day, especially if it's the beginning or the end of the month, probably going to be doing the expired script, because we all know there's a lot of listings that come off in those time frames. But it's 7:30 to 8 is prospecting, just to kind of warm up and get your mouth salivating, right? Get rid of the coffee breath. And then from 8 to 12, I'm primarily doing a lot of expireds and a lot of for sale by owners. And I would say probably 75% of my business is primarily expireds.
Sure. Okay. All right. So you're doing everything you should be doing.
Mhm.
I want to role play with you. Would you be okay with that?
Sure, yeah.
All right, cool. Let's do this. All right, let's do an expired. Let's say that I'm a brand new expired that's been on the market, been expired for about 47 minutes. So there's at least 73 agents that's called so far.
Sure,
Okay,
absolutely.
got
Okay.
it.
All right. Ring.
Hello.
Hey, good morning. This is Cody Lopez. I work for Log Realty Company here in Tucson, and I was trying to contact Mr. Wittenstein.
Are are you a realtor?
Yeah, I absolutely am. I imagine you've probably received a few calls already this
A
morning.
few is an understatement.
Sure. Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Wittenstein. I know that you were on the market for about 100 days prior to this, and I'm just curious, but hypothetically, if you did happen to sell the home, were you going to stay in the area, or where were you going to move to?
We were gonna stay local, but do you have a buyer for me?
Well, that's exactly why I'm calling. I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm calling because I just don't want a buyer. I want several buyers, and that was actually going to be my next question. Did you get any buyers to preview that property? Did you get any offers?
We had 43 people in the house in one offer.
Wow. 43 people. Wow. Okay. So let me ask you this question. It sounds like out of that one offer that you received, obviously wasn't favorable, correct?
it was too low. Let's just leave it at that. But if you have a buyer, you're more than welcome to bring it through. I think at this point, we're going to take it off for the next few months.
Sure. No, I completely understand. And that's a good advantage. Sounds like you don't have to sell the home by a specific timeline, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, good for you. And so if we had a buyer who wanted to preview the home, they liked the home, they presented a favorable offer, you're telling me that's an offer you may consider and still consider selling,
Yeah. I mean,
correct?
if they want to pay me list price, I would consider selling it. Yeah.
Okay, good for you. Good. And I'm curious, Arian, the previous agent you were working with, 43 showings. Do you know if all of those showings were pre-qualified or were those just people looking at homes to kill time?
Oh, I have absolutely no idea. I don't know. I
Okay.
mean, I don't know what Sally Mae did.
Sure. Well, I imagine even if you let a buyer, even if it's my buyer who wants to preview your home, I imagine you'd want them to be pre-approved if they're financing or if they're cash, probably send some form of proof of funds, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. So I wanted to ask you, how did you happen to pick the last agent you were working with?
It was my cousin's uncle's girlfriend.
Okay, so a family acquaintance. Sure. I always say, Aaron, everyone has friends or family in the business. And if you don't know of a real estate agent, you probably don't have any friends or family. So good. Let me ask you too, Aaron, if you were ever to go back on the market, even if it was a year from now, what qualities would you look for in the next agent you decide to work with?
I want an agent that brings me a buyer. That's all I care about right now. Like I said, is that like I said, bring me a buyer. We'll do a deal. We'll do a deal.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's exactly why I'm calling because I want to present you not just one, but hopefully several buyers. So why don't we do the right thing? Obviously, your time's valuable, but if I could get your home sold in the next 30 days, would that pose a problem for anyone living in the house right now?
I probably not.
Okay, yeah, probably not. So why don't we do the right thing here? Let's schedule a tentative appointment tomorrow at 4 or 5. What would work best for you?
What are you? Let me ask you. What are you going to do differently that the other agent didn't do?
Well, that's a good question. So there's really two types of agents, Aaron. There's reactive agents and there's proactive agents. Okay, so it sounds like to me, if you had 43 showings in one appointment, you probably had a reactive agent, someone who's waiting for the business. But I imagine if you're going to work with an agent, you want someone who can go out and find the business opposed to wait for it. That's why we're on the phone today calling. So you would want somebody who's going to go out and find it and most importantly, be aggressive and communicative, correct?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, so just so I know, I mean, and then you guys, how much do you charge?
Oh, that's such a good question. So commission, as you know, is always negotiable. And that's exactly why we need to meet, because I'm sure you would never sign a listing with commission that you wouldn't find favorable. So the numbers have to make sense for you to want to proceed. So that's why we should have that appointment to make sure that your net sheet is aligned with what you want to accomplish. Because it may not make sense. Maybe you shouldn't sell. I'm not here to tell you that you should or shouldn't. But clearly you had a motivation for 140 days, Aaron, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So let's do the right thing and we can talk about commission immediately when we walk through that front door and make sure the numbers work for the both of us. Does that seem fair?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay. I'll see you tomorrow at 4 or 5.
4:30.
Okay. And before I meet you tomorrow at 4:30, there's just a list of questions I want to ask you because my appointments are just 10 minutes. So do you mind if I ask these questions now?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. And then I have a pre-qualification script. So I would normally just go through that. And really, honestly, Aaron, I may not go on this appointment based on my pre-qualification. Before, I would go on any appointment I could set
Sure.
because I wanted it all. But you were kind of a pretty adamant seller. I mean, I know you wanted me to bring the buyer and do all that, which is normal. It's just a reflex that a lot of expireds have, and they have every right to feel that way. But I think my goal essentially is to just realize you want to communicate with me. You just have a lot of stress and a lot of commotion that you've experienced the last 140 days. And those are just reflexes that you and I would have in any regular call. So I have to also just keep that in mind when I'm going through my scripts.
No, you did, and like I said, you did a phenomenal job. I mean, I threw a lot at you there.
You did throw a lot at me. Oh my
You
God.
know, but no, but I would normally apologize and say I'm sorry I did that, but you were on point. You were crisp. The words that came out of your mouth were phenomenal. So, you're practiced, you're well rehearsed with what you did, because what I loved about what you did was there was not one pause
Mm.
in anything that you said. I don't know if you noticed that, but I never noticed the pause. You practice. I mean, and you can just tell. You're on the. You have how many role play partners?
I have 4.
Okay,
So just Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then coaching call for Wednesday. Yeah. And I think one of the things that really helped me get comfortable prospecting is when we prospect, we think that, the consumers, they're resentful of us. They don't want to talk to us. And for some incidents that might be the case. However, what I've learned is they really do want to talk to people more than anything. They do. They're just very, very discouraged. So my job isn't to correct you. You feel the way you feel. You're pissed off. You're upset. You're not interested. That's fine. I can't correct you on that. My job's not to correct you. It's to acknowledge and agree. So we use a formula called listen, repeat, approve, acknowledge, and ask 2 questions. So when you told me that you didn't get any pre-approved appointments, you may be thinking to yourself, did I waste a lot of time? Because you're living there. If you're going to have to leave for 2 hours, it better be worth your time and hopefully make you money. So one of the things that I've always realized is I would probably ask you a duh question, which would be, I imagine you would want an agent who would pre-approve every appointment for you before the
right.
showing. Is that right? If you said no, you kind of would be an idiot to say no to that. It's just a duh question. So kind of just learning that formula and trying to internalize it's been kind of the biggest challenge this year.
Can you repeat that formula? That formula one more time?
Oh
I just
yeah,
want to make sure everybody. I just want to
listen.
make sure everybody hears that. Yeah.
Yeah, listen. So let's just say you give me an objection, correct? So let's say, I'm really not interested in selling right now. Okay. I would listen. I would repeat, oh, Aaron, you're not interested in selling right now. Hey, I completely understand. If I was on the market for as long as you were, I probably wouldn't want to bother with it myself. So there's the acknowledgement and the approve. And then I would ask you 2 questions, such as, I imagine if you go back on the market, even in 2 years from now, you probably would want an agent who would take that stress away from you. Is that correct? And then I would ask another question, such as, if this home sold in the next 30 days, would that pose a problem for anyone in the family? No. So it's just kind of getting them to agree. But I can't tell them that. They have to tell themselves that. That's why I have to ask the question. Because if I tell them that, then I'm correcting them, and I can't correct them. So I have to tell them to talk themselves into what's right by asking questions.
So here's what I want to say to everybody here. If you're not realizing this, I speak with a lot of people, just so you know, on a regular basis. As you know, we interview a lot of people on a regular basis, and it's hearing you speak is very pleasant to listen to. You know what I mean? Is the best way to put it. I could listen to you script and role play all day long because you're refined and you're replicatable and you're received well, is the best way to put it with that. And that comes from practice. If you guys didn't hear, there were times he was putting in 10 hours a day in lead gen, burned him out. He's doing 4. A lot of people don't do 2 hours. And this guy's doing 4. I should say this guy, Cody's doing 4, and he's role playing on a daily basis. So when it comes to that, in your opinion, what is the single most important thing that has gotten you to the level that you are right now?
Cutting out all the noise. I was never afraid to work hard. So before Vulcan7, and I never thought I would call people. That was actually the last thing I really have done for my business. I used to knock doors, cold doors. I used to do them from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., 5-6 days a week. And I would just go hand out market updates. And it was costing me a lot of paper because I had to pay for all that I'd print out. So we were doing at least 36,000 homes every 5 months. We were doing a lot of homes. And that was good. So I wasn't afraid to work hard. But I think the biggest takeaway to answer your question is to get out of your own way and don't be attached from the outcome. And I think a lot of people, when they call, not everyone needs your services. And that's okay. Just because they were on the market for X amount, that's fine. Don't feel like you have to win every single time, and let another agent take that listing and have it sit for another 6 months. That's fine. But my job is to really qualify and just find motivated sellers, which has been probably the hardest thing I've had to learn, because sometimes we have to turn down business. And as an agent, we want to keep business that we think we have as false security, right? So if I have 30 listings and only 7 of them are going to sell, should I have taken those other 23? Or I'm probably not going to work as hard because I have 30 listings and you only have 7 that are going to pay you. So the biggest takeaway for me is just being detached from the outcome and just realizing these are just people who want to talk to you. They just have their guard up because you're a salesperson. Okay, you're showing your cards when you say Long Realty Company or Coldwell Banker or EXP. You're telling them you're in sales, so their guard comes up. It's just natural.
All right, one more question. I'm gonna put you. I actually have like 3 more questions, but one. How old are you?
Going to be 24.
I just want to let everybody sit on that for 1 second, right there. That's the skill set you have for the age. It's you're a man beyond your years. Okay. All right. So let's say that a new agent is coming by your office, knocks on your door, is like, Cody, I hear you're good at calls and you do some stuff like that. What is one piece of advice that you would give this brand new agent?
I my first piece of advice would get into coaching, regardless of what coaching you want to use. I've interviewed with several, but get into coaching, especially if it's something that you want to do full time and take very seriously. That would probably be my number one advice, because our biggest asset as an agent is we're independent contractors, and our biggest liability is we're independent contractors. So I walk into the office when no one's here every day, I wear the suit, the tie, and there's agents who look at me and they're in their golf shorts, and they're just, who the hell is this guy, and that's fine. I don't care. But like, I take it to a level where this is the only thing that I have going for me right now. And I need to make it work. And I want to produce at a high level, because I just don't want to be a regular agent. I want to be an agent that definitely has a reputation, and most importantly, can prove to myself that I can be a top producer. So get into coaching. If you're going to become a real estate agent, you're brand new to the business, learn how to handle objections. Like, I have my flashcards right here every day. I have my objection flashcards. I have them out on my desk, and it's like, oh, my friend's in the business, I take this one, right? Or we don't want to sell anymore, I reach over here and I just read it. That's what I would do. If I could do it all over again, I would get into coaching. I would narrow it down to a system like Vulcan7, something that's simple, low hanging fruit. Don't overcomplicate it. You don't need to spend all this time in advertising and social media videos. Just learn how to talk to people and ask better questions and close. That's what I would say.
Beautiful. All right, let's tie this up in a nice little bow here. Last words you have for all of our people here at Vulcan7 Nation, what would that be?
Keep pushing. This has been something that my coach and I have been talking about. I think for me, I've been starting to get burnt out in this business, and it's not because of the clients, the transactions, the rejection. It's just because of me as being my worst critic. And so I think for all of the people who use Vulcan7, the kind of strong mentality you have to grind and set those successful wins for yourself. And a win doesn't have to be getting a listing agreement signed. It can be having the counter get signed and get sent back. It can be getting a showing on one of your listings, whatever it might be. You need to have wins, because if you're too narrow-minded, you're going to come down on yourself pretty quickly. And I feel like that's something that I've experienced just the last 2 months on. And so I need to learn to be a little bit more grateful and just learn it takes time. And I'm happy where I'm at. Believe me, I'm very blessed and glad to have been to where I'm at now. But we just constantly want more and more and want to continue to grow, but it takes time. So that's something I would share, is just celebrate the little wins.
All right, so someone is coming from California and they're moving to Tucson, Arizona.
That's
How does,
me.
oh my gosh, no, it's not. How
Yeah.
does one get in touch with you?
So is in regards as a buyer or an agent,
No,
or?
what you say if they got a client that's looking for someone in your neck of the woods, how do they get in touch with
Oh,
you?
okay. Just Google me. I mean, Cody Lopez, Long Realty Company. I'm probably the first one that comes up. I work with my fiance, Abby. So you'll see it says Cody Lopez and Abby Ruse. But you can just Google me or go on Facebook or Instagram. I have a pretty good following there. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's too hard to find. Or, my phone number, can I share it on here?
Please.
Yeah, 520-904-2303. So
beautiful. All right, my friend. I want to thank you so much. This is great stuff today. And everybody, don't forget, go make some money, and don't forget to trust the process. You guys have a good one. Take care. Thank you, Cody.